The steps of the Supreme Court echoed with the weight of history. Inside, a battle raged over the very soul of American identity. At the heart of the matter, birthright citizenship. For generations, the 14th Amendment promised citizenship to anyone born on American soil. Now, that promise was under fire. Protesters gathered, their voices a chorus of defiance. Signs bearing the phrase, "American-born children are American children," filled the air. The case before the court was a culmination of years of escalating debate over immigration. At its core lay a fundamental question: who has the right to call themselves American? The courtroom itself was a stage for a high-stakes drama. On one side stood the Trump administration, arguing for a radical reinterpretation of the 14th Amendment. On the other, a coalition of civil rights groups and legal scholars fought to uphold the amendment's long-standing interpretation. The justices, tasked with interpreting the Constitution, found themselves at the center of a storm. Their decision would have far-reaching implications, not just for the present, but for generations to come. To understand the gravity of the case, one must journey back in time. The 14th Amendment, ratified in 1868, stands as a testament to the hard-won battles of the Reconstruction era. It was a direct response to the horrors of slavery and systemic racism. Its purpose was clear: to ensure that Black Americans newly freed from bondage would be granted full rights and protections of citizenship. The amendment's most powerful words, "All persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States." This simple yet profound declaration was revolutionary. It overturned the Dred Scott decision, which had declared that Black people could never be citizens. With these words, the 14th Amendment laid the foundation for a more just and equitable society. Birthright citizenship was central to this vision. It ensured that no child born on American soil, regardless of their parents' status, could be denied the rights and protections afforded to all citizens. The 14th Amendment was never without its detractors. From its ratification, there were those who sought to undermine its power and limit its reach. Segregationists and white supremacists viewed the amendment as a threat to their vision of America. Their efforts to undermine the 14th Amendment would continue for generations. Fast forward to the 21st century, and the battle over birthright citizenship raged on. In 2024, President Trump issued an executive order to end birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. to undocumented immigrants and those on temporary visas. The order, immediately met with fierce opposition, was seen by many as a blatant attempt to undermine the 14th Amendment. Trump's order argued that the 14th Amendment's guarantee of citizenship did not extend to children born to parents who were not subject to U.S. jurisdiction. Critics argued this narrow interpretation contradicted the amendment's original intent and defied decades of legal precedent. Legal challenges to the order were swift and decisive. 3 federal judges blocked the order nationwide, deeming it blatantly unconstitutional. The judges' rulings were a resounding rebuke of Trump's attempt to circumvent the Constitution. The legal battle, however, was far from over. Trump vowed to take the fight all the way to the Supreme Court. The stage was set for a showdown with profound implications for the nation's future. The outcome would determine whether the promise of the 14th Amendment would continue to shine as a beacon of hope. The Supreme Court chose to focus on a related issue: nationwide injunctions. The justices were tasked with deciding whether a single judge had the authority to block a federal policy nationwide. These injunctions had become increasingly common, often used to halt controversial policies enacted by the Trump administration. The Trump administration argued that nationwide injunctions were an overreach of judicial power. They urged the court to limit the scope of these injunctions. Opponents argued that nationwide injunctions were vital for protecting constitutional rights. They pointed to the Trump administration's history of enacting policies that targeted vulnerable communities. The justices, deeply divided, grappled with the complex legal arguments. The court's decision on nationwide injunctions would have far-reaching implications for the balance of power between the branches of government. The debate highlighted a deeper tension within the American legal system. It was a tension between the principle of majority rule and the protection of minority rights. This tension had existed since the nation's founding and would likely continue to shape legal battles for generations. The court's decision in this case would inevitably be seen as a victory for one side or the other, further fueling the partisan divide that had come to define American politics.